Hi everyone, welcome to another session of training, and I hope you had a nice day. Okay, so we have been going through. Please check our YouTube channel for the part one of this course where we talked about IAS, just IAS and SAP S/4HANA. We tried to basically look at what IAS was all about and try to understand the concept. Basically, like I said, for every profession, there are standards, there are policies that actually guide the operations of that particular profession. There are standards, there are policies, there are guidelines. Of course, it's the same within the accounting profession. Um, so we have what we call IAS, which is the International Accounting Standard for those who have not actually gone through the first video. We have IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. We have GAAP, Generally Accepted Accounting Standards. These various standards are used in various countries, and they guide, they provide guidance on how to prepare your financial statements for both management, and external users. Okay, I'm your SAP S/4HANA finance and ECC FICO consultant, Kelechi Kelly Adele, and I'm going to be taking you through this session. Remember to like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share. I always say that the essence of my videos is actually to improve learning, throw more insights into some concepts, provide, support for different category of users, the end users, the super users, the experts, the consultants. And basically that's the idea. So please share this video and let everyone benefit from it. And why not? You can reach through my email and my phone number, and for training, support, or just general questions or anything you need to ask about SAP S/4HANA Finance and ECC, please feel free and reach out to me. So back to the course for the day. So for this session, we're going to be focusing on IAS 1, right? IAS 1 basically is a standard that focuses on the presentation of financial statements. So it provides the guidelines, the structure, the principles that needs to be adhered to when you prepare your financial statements. And we're going to also see how SAP S/4HANA Finance works hand in hand, helps to enforce this standard, helps to drive these standards, help to enhance these standards such that companies can benefit from complying with these standards even when they use the SAP S/4HANA. So we're going to basically see how these two work hand in hand. We're going to see the functionalities within SAP S/4HANA Finance that helps to drive the objective of IAS 1. Right? That's the very aim of this session or this course, right? So please take out your biros, take out your notes, and listen attentively as we go deeper into this session. All right. So before we dive deep into, going into SAP S/4HANA to see how this functionality works, let's just have a little bit background about what IAS 1 simply is, and just try to relate it to SAP S/4HANA Finance from time to time, and we'll just run through this as much as fast as we can. Okay, now the purpose of this study is to see how SAP S/4HANA Finance is complying or is enhancing IAS 1. What is IAS 1? Remember, the essence of standards are to guide the operations of the finance profession. IAS 1 is, like I said, IAS is International Accounting Standards. One is focused on outlining the guidelines and structure for the presentation and of course preparation of financial statements, and also specifies the content. So the first thing there is that this IAS intends to provide guidelines and the structure for the presentation of financial statements. So we would actually see how SAP S/4HANA Finance complies with the guidelines and the structure and presentation of financial statements within the SAP S/4HANA Finance system, and also specifies the content of the general purpose financial statements and the basic requirements. So, of course, when you present a financial statement or financial records, you hope to see information within these records. So, IS1 tries to, provide a global standard on on what should be the basic requirement or the content, or of these standards. So whether you're in the US or you're in the UK or you're in Nigeria or you're in any country of the world, the essence of this standard is to have a global the essence of that is to have a global uniform way or structure of presenting financial statement. This would basically support global trade, support external users from different countries of the world to assess your financial statement wherever you are and understand, because this structure, just like SAP S/4HANA Finance in South Africa, is the same. I mean, if the configuration is done, it's the same thing as if you have access to that same system in the US. So that's the idea. There should be this uniform structure such that wherever you are in the world, if the company is compliant to IAS and IFRSs, then you should have an idea. Then you should actually know that you should you should have a grasp of what the content would be. Even you should have that expectation even before having a copy of that statement, right? So that's actually the essence of IS 1. Okay, now it also spells out the basic requirement for measuring, recognizing, and disclosing. Very important. So, how do you measure the figures, or how do you measure the transactions that you reflect in your financial statements? What are the criteria for recognizing those transactions, and what you know policies, or what standards did you use in disclosing, right? So what I mean, disclosure has to do with, it's a very, very important activity to ensure that the financial statement is true and fair and is reliable. All important informations that would guide makers to make quality decisions have to be disclosed, in the financial statement. So, and of course, and their interpretations, right? So basically, how does ACPS for HANA Finance help to enhance this very important functionality of IS, very important requirement of IS1? Okay, so these guidelines are issued by the International Accounting Standard Board. So the guidelines for the presentation of financial statement is issued by the International Accounting Standard Board, right? The aim of IS1 is to provide reliable information about the financial position of the business. Just that's the aim of IS1, to provide reliable information about the financial position. So many looking at your many if you apply IS1 to present to prepare your financial statements, you know um, the the financial statement should be able to tell what the financial position of that business is. Likewise, SAP S/4HANA, right? SAP S/4HANA is an ERP system, and of course, the finance module speaks to this very, very important requirement of IS1, or objective of IS1, right? So SAP S/4HANA Finance tries to give the financial state of the business at any point, at any level of information you want, right? So that means that SAP S/4HANA enhances this objective of IS1. So number two, of course, financial position would mean the current state. Number two, show how the organization has fared over a period, which will speak to financial performance, right? So also SAP S/4HANA Finance works, enhances this requirement of IS1 in the sense that the financial reports would an analysis would show the performance of the business over a period of time and provide information about cash movement. Of course, the the cash management module of SAP S/4HANA, the reporting of cash flow statements within SAP S/4HANA Finance, provide these very important information about cash movement within the organization. So SAP S/4HANA Finance it's very compliant with IS1 in ensuring that these functionalities are very much present. Okay, so the information that will that information that will be produced, or generated by the business. It's used by various users. So there are various interests in the financial statement of the company, the management, the government, of course, for what is due to them in taxes, creditors. They want to know if the business is credit worthy. Investors, they want to know if the assets, if they have good working capitals, basically more decisions to to make more information to make key decisions about investing in that company, right? So it's important that the financial statement complies with IS1, and it's important that SAP S/4HANA Finance can enhance or improve or comply with this very, very important standard. Now, the information provided by the financial statement. Now, if you pick a financial statement, for example, you would expect to what kind of information do you expect to have or to see? One is the assets that speaks to both current and non-current assets. Non-current will speak to the properties, the plants, and the equipment. Current assets will speak to cash and cash equivalents, receivables, inventories. Liabilities will speak to current and non-current. Current would mean payables and short-term loans. Non-current would be long-term loans and and bonds and the rest of them. Equity will speak to ownership. Income will speak to sales and revenues, other revenues of the business. Expense will speak to the operational cost and admin cost. Owner's contribution on entitlement will speak to investments by owners. Notes to accounts will try to explain, some figures or some information that are within the financial statements, right? So these are information that the financial statement should be able to provide. These are information that SAP S/4HANA in compliance with IS1 should be able to provide to the various users. So the components of financial statement, right? So IS1 has spelled out what the components should be according to the standard. Of course, financial statements are just sets of ledgers that come together, and because IS1 defines that structure, let's see what a complete set of financial statement will look like. So it should have the statement of financial position, which we'll call the balance sheet at the end of the period. You should have the profits and loss and other comprehensive income, which should be your income statement. You should have the statement of changes in equity. You should have the statement of cash flow and a summary of accounting policies and other explanatory notes. So these are very, very important informations, uh, or what we would call the component of a financial statement. So we'll also see how SAP S/4HANA helps to provide these information. We will see how SAP S/4HANA complies with IAS 1 to ensure that these components are existing and they are there for the users to access and make use of. Now, note that to ensure that the financial statements of entities are true and fair and not misleading, some accounting principles like going concern, accrual basis of accounting, materiality, consistency of policy, presentation and comparative information, so these are key concepts. These are, key principles that even when preparing your financial statement, you should adhere to, right? So it's important that even during the configuration of your SAP S/4HANA finance system, that these principles are at the back of the mind of the consultant and of course other key stakeholders. So it's important that they comply with these principles, right? So as an accountant and also as an SAP consultant, this is a major point for me. And during configurations, you need to make sure that the the system, the config is in line with these principles. Okay, so let's go into the system and see how SAP S/4HANA Finance supports or enhance IS1, the principles and the objectives of IS1. Right. So without actually going so much into details, one of the major changes in SAP S/4HANA is the introduction of the ACDOCAR, which is a very, very important functionality within SAP S/4HANA system. Right. So basically, ACDOCAR, introduction of ACDOCAR and of course the compatibility and simplicity views has helped to, ensure that there is reduction in transaction footprints. Initially, there is before you could, run report, you have to go, these reports pass through various tables. It takes a lot of data, and there is a lot of movement from one table to another. There was no single source of truth. We had multiple sources of truth, right? So the introduction of ACDOCA has helped to comply with IAS 1 in the sense that, you know, um, financial statements can now have a single source of truth, which would guarantee fairness, which would guarantee materiality, which would guarantee, consistency with policies, right? So it's a very important functionality. It has also helped to reduce data footprint. So there is processing the data is now faster and more accurate. Removal of redundancy. We've talked about ensuring single source of truth and improve reporting capabilities, right? So since this information, since the financial statement provide information for different kind of users, it's important that reporting capabilities, it's robust. It's important that the views we don't have complicated, and complex, reporting system and structure. So the compatibility view and the simplicity view within SAP S/4HANA has helped to, relegate tables that were hitherto in ECC, that were not relevant in SAP S/4HANA. So since there is a single source of truth, information is faster, information is more reliable, and it provides this You can have access. It gives more insight into financial information. It provides more analytics functionality, and it helps users to make very important and informed decisions, right? The transformation functionality of SAP have ensured that the financial statement of entities are true and fair. So that is very, very important requirement for IAS 1 when you talk about presentation of financial statements. And the principles like going concern, accrual based of accounting, materiality, consistency of policy, presentation and comparative information are specified by standard, are rightly observed and complied with. Right. So this is a very major plus for um, a very major support base, or probably how SAP S/4HANA enhances, how it improves, or how it enforces IS1, and ensures that information that SAP provides can be reliable and shows the true and fair state of business. So let's go into our SAP S/4HANA system and see how this see how this works basically. So just a minute, let me go to my SAP system. Okay, so I need to log in. Okay, so I've actually logged in, and the steps are here in case you want to do this yourself. So to actually access the universal table or the universal journal within SAP S/4HANA, remember this is for SAP S/4HANA Finance. You can use the T code SE16N. But before that, we'll just do a run through and see how transactions actually, how the universal table actually helps to support IS1 and enforces the idea of single source of truth. So I'm just going to post a ledger or post a GL transaction. So I'll go to FP50, just select the date, just a very fast one. Okay, select my GL. So I want to do an operations expense account. So my cash, debit my operations, credit my cash. Then there is just $100, $100. Then here you can put the text and all that. So I'm just going to simulate this to check for correctness. Then I'm going to save this. So basically, when you save and when you post a transaction SAP S/4HANA, the question is, where does the transaction go to, right? So the ACDOCAR is a line item table, right? It's a table that actually presents, that holds all the transactions, all the line item transactions that has been posted in SAP S/4HANA. So every transaction that has been posted at the line item level, right? This is the header, this is the line item you would actually find in the ACDOCAR table. And the essence before now, right, in ECC, once this transaction is posted, you would have to go through different tables to see all the informations because they were posted in parts, different tables. But with ACDOCAR, you can see all the information on one table, all the line items, all these other objects that are important when you post your line item transactions, you would find, in one table. So that enforces the single source of truth, nature, or structure of SAP S/4HANA, finance. So how do we access this? Let's use /n, right? So we go to SA16N. Okay, so we will look for ACDOCAR. That's the table name. So just put ACDOCAR, the table name. The ledger, we're using the leading ledger. We'll talk more about the ledger concept in the next class or in the next session. Confirm your company code. Confirm your fiscal year and click on execute. So you can see number of hits. So we have about 6 transactions now, but you can see BKPF is the header table. ACDOCA is actually for the line items. So if we go to the far right, we're going to see the currency, we're going to see the GL accounts, we're going to see the various transactions in different currencies, right? In different currencies. Then you have other functionalities like the segments, the business area, the functional areas, so all these information, all this reporting happens in one table, unlike in ECC where you have to go to different tables. So this gives you a single source of truth. And because of simplicity and compatibility, this has enforced this functionality. Now, how does this, improve IAS1? Now, this would actually help to drive the fairness principle, and help to ensure that the requirements for recognition, the requirements for measuring is adhered to according to the standard, right? So it's a very, very important functionality that complies very well with IAS1. All right, so you can try this, and you can basically see a lot of information on this table, right? So you can see the document type, the fiscal year, the, the posting keys, item category that has to do with document splitting, and the rest of them, right? So this is a very, very important functionality. I won't be going deep into this in this session. Remember, this is just to look at IAS1 vis-a-vis or side by side with SAP S/4HANA. So the next we're going to look at basically is again how SAP S/4HANA supports the objective IAS1. For this, we're going to be looking at the accounting principles. Right. So we have talked about the fact that IAS1 talks about presentation, right? And it talks about IAS1 is accounting principles in SAP S/4HANA. So this is a very, very important functionality. And this is a very, very important point on how SAP S/4HANA adheres to or tries to support the objective of IAS1. So basically, companies in SAP S/4HANA Finance or SAP S/4HANA can present their financial statements according to their various principles. So it could be GAAP, it could be IFRS. So basically, local companies that are within a group can present financial statements according to their local principles, while consolidation can happen according to the principle in the group company, right? So these configurations happen within the accounting principle and the group ledgers in SAP S/4HANA Finance or SAP S/4HANA. Now, a lot of international companies are required to prepare financial statement based on different accounting principles, right? So if a company has a subsidiary in Nigeria and a company in the US would basically use GAAP as the accounting principles, the local company in Nigeria will basically use IFRS as the accounting principles. So that's the idea, right? So the local company here can prepare its financial statement in recognition with IFRS or IAS, while the company in the group company or in the US can prepare its financial statement according to GAAP, but they can, but during group accounting, because we had the leading ledger would hold the group the group ledger or the accounting principle of the group, there would be that valuation, there will be that synchronism or synchronization between the local company and the group company, right? So the accounting principles help to support this functionality, right? So accounting principle is accounting standards basically. So so when we talk about IAS1, this is IAS1, right? In SAP S/4HANA, we call it the accounting principles. So companies that belong to groups can prepare financial statements according to their local standards. So this has been stressed during my discussion. So how does this happen? How does SAP S/4HANA drive this functionality or tries to adhere to this standard? So to do that, we're just going to view that. So we can, it's a configuration step, it's a configuration process. So we just go to SPRO, is reference ing. All right, go to the steps are here. Right, you can just go through the step. So you go to financial accounting, go to accounting global settings, go to ledgers, and you will see parallel accounting here. Click on parallel accounting, there you can see the accounting principles. So if I execute this, sorry, excuse me. So you have the accounting principles existing within SAP S/4HANA. So depending on the accounting principles that your company uses, you can apply same, during the configuration. Right. So this has showed you that SAP S/4HANA Finance complies with IAS 1 or IFRS, and of course, this compliance would mean that when preparing or presenting your financial statement, it's already adhering to the standard, right? So reporting wise and valuation wise, um, it's going to be adopting the standards when, when preparing or presenting your financial statement. Okay, so let's look at the next topic, accounting, the account and ledger approach in SAP S/4HANA. So basically, the parallel accounting enables valuation and closing transactions for company code based on group accounting principles, right? So basically, like I said, parallel accounting just supports the functionality that says that a local company can use a different accounting principle than the group. So what Ledger does is to enhance the valuation or enables valuation and closing account, closing transactions based on, group accounting principles. So it enhances the reporting functionality at the group level, even though the local company is actually using a different accounting principle. So it drives the functionality that different companies within a group can actually run with different accounting principles, but it helps with that consolidation. Right. So when we talk about the account and the ledger approach, um, the ledger approach speaks more to, account-based approach, where there are several accounting principles assigned to a leading ledger. Of course, the ledger approach speaks to the functionality where the ledger and the accounting principles have one-to-one relationship. So you have one ledger for one accounting principle. When but the functionality in the SAP, you can use both ledger approach and account approach at the same time, but the choice of approach depends on the business and financial reporting requirements of the client. However, whichever approach is used, parallel accounting enforces the objective of fair presentation and compliance with, standards, right, with IFRS. Yeah, so basically, this is a very major compliance of SAP S/4HANA to IAS 1. So this would actually give you the confidence. It should give you this is meant to share the knowledge that yes, SAP S/4HANA is indeed compliant with IAS 1. So how do we see this in SAP S/4HANA? So the same menu path, you would see ledgers. Just go through the same menu path. Go to ledgers, go to define settings for ledgers and currency types. Yeah, you can just close this. Then you can see the various ledgers, right? Within at the ledger, at the ledger level, If I select the leading ledger, and of course, in SAP S1, you can only have one leading ledger. Then you have subsidiary ledgers that are used also for different accounting principles. So select this and double click on the company code to see the ledger at company code level. So you have the ledger. So I'm going to search for my company code. So I'm just going to, so you can see that at the company code level, you can see parallel accounting is active. You can see posting variance, fiscal year, those other objects. So I'm just going to double click on my company code. And so you can see now that for the leading ledger and my company code, my accounting principle is GAAP. So my valuation and reporting for this company code will be on GAAP, right? And you've also seen that I've also told the system that it will also use the accounts approach. This is the ledger approach. This is the accounts approach. In that I'm going to have more than one accounting principle assigned to this company code. So the accounting principle, so the company code can, for leading ledger, it can run on GAAP. For other ledgers, to, for example, other subsidiary ledgers, like the non-leading ledger, I can decide to use IFRS. This would enhance reporting on different principles. So basically, this functionality, as I've explained earlier, is meant to enforce, the objective of fair presentation and compliance, and of course, um, ensure that there is this adherence to consistency when it comes to different policies. Okay, so I've gone through this step on how to locate your accounting principles. The last but not the least for today, um, we have been looking at how IAS 1, how SAP S/4HANA, um, complies with IAS 1, or supports or try to drive the objectives of IAS 1. We're going to be looking at the financial statement version, right? The financial statement version is a hierarchical arrangement of GL accounts which produces general purpose financial statement according to IAS 1. Remember, we talked about the content of the financial statement, the components, and we also said that um, within these components, you should have the various information, right? So we'll see how SAP S/4HANA Finance, tries to, meet up with this requirement of IAS 1 in terms of the structure. Arrangement talks about, remember we talked about when we looked at what IAS, I would say the guideline and the structure. So financial statement version complies with the guidelines and the structure for the presentation of financial statements. And of course, you can comply with any of those principles, and the arrangement can be done according to what's done according to requirements of IAS 1. Like we have also said that financial statements should provide information about assets, equity, income, and expense. So let's see how the financial statement version in SAP S/4HANA Finance would actually help to drive this compliance, or drive or comply with IAS 1 in this regard. So we're just going to go to back. Now let's go to accounting. The step is actually here. So you can just go through the step in case you have. Go to accounting, go to general ledger, go to information system, go to general ledger reports, go to financial statements and cash flows, go to general, so you can see that we have cash flow, and we have financial statements, which is also the major requirements, or one of the major components, cash flow and financial position. Financial statements in SAP S/4HANA speaks to the financial position, profit and loss, and changes in equity, and of course, the policies. So let's drill down further. So double click on financial statements. I have a variant already saved, a default already saved. So I'm just going to select that and execute. Then I'll say okay. So based on this example, you can see that IAS SAP S/4HANA Finance is in compliance with IAS 1 to a great deal, in that the components of the financial statements and the information providing a financial statement all exist within the SAP S/4HANA Finance. You have assets, you have liabilities, you have profit and loss, you have notes to financial statements, and of course you have cash flow, right? So this is a major now this is just based on the example of this company I pulled out. Whatever the structure is, business users, stakeholders work with the consultants to structure their financial statement according to, the company policies and according to requirements of IAS 1. And there's a very important functionality within the SAP S/4HANA Finance system where you can drill down further into, various, you have these drill downs that provide more information about, the components within the financial statement or the information within the financial statement. And that actually enhances, great reporting, great presentation, and is in compliance with IAS 1. Right. So this tells you that indeed SAP S/4HANA Finance is not just complying with IAS 1, but it's actually trying to enhance better presentation of financial statements in line with the standard, right? So it's supporting, it's enhancing, it's also enforcing, so when you have this functionality in SAP S/4HANA, companies that use SAP S/4HANA, of course, will comply naturally to IAS 1, and that will improve fairness, and provide reliable information for not just management, but for external users who will rely on this information to present the financial statement, right? So we also have other reports here. The report functionality within SAP S/4HANA Finance is very robust. You can report on various levels, right? So you can just keep stretching down, and stretching down, where you can even report on various countries. You have account balances, you have reporting based on profit centers, you have reports based on segment reporting. So the reporting functionality in SAP S/4HANA is robust. I mean, there's no doubt about that. There are different levels of reporting, and this would create more clarity, create more information, provide more information and analysis to help users make better informed decisions. So right, so this has actually taken us to the end of this session, and I hope you have learned something today. So there is no doubt that from this session, SAP S/4HANA Finance is indeed compliant with IAS 1 and can even improve on its compliance. We have other functionalities like financial analytics that can help analyze, financial information, and using technologies like artificial intelligence, using deep learning and data analytics to predict and of course give better information about the financial state of the business, right? And the essence of this training is this is not all that is with SAP S/4HANA Finance and compliance with IAS 1, but this is just to create the awareness that indeed SAP S/4HANA Finance is in compliance with IAS 1. And in our subsequent sessions, we're going to look at other IASs. We'll probably look at IAS 12, IAS 16, to see how SAP S/4HANA is constantly complying with these standards and helping companies to provide reliable and fair, information to support, economic and financial decisions. Right. So thank you very much. Remember, it's your SAP S/4HANA Finance and ACCFICU consultant, Kelechi Kelly Adele. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please share this information so that we people get to learn and improve learning, or get to know more about how SAP S/4HANA Finance or SAP S/4HANA is indeed complying with best international practices and standards and guidelines within the accounting profession. Thank you very much, and do have a nice day.